Hey everybody, Szczepanek here. Welcome back to Beyond the Notes and to a special James Bond episode. I've been a huge fan of the Bond franchise pretty much my entire life, since the first film I saw, which was Goldeneye back in the 90s. I was so excited for No Time to Die come out. I listened to the new theme song by Billie Eilish. I arranged it for piano. It was supposed to come out in April of 2020. That song came out. Here we are in October of 2021, and we're just now getting the movie. But back to piano music. That arrangement and that video, I mean, this was during the peak of the COVID pandemic, so I was completely at home, alone, in the studio, and I tried to go like the whole 9 yards. I tried to pull all the stops for that video, so I was in the full suit. I had a nice glass of whiskey behind me. I know it wasn't a martini, but still whiskey behind me. I even broke out the fog machine. I hadn't had that thing out in like 10 years. Broke that out for some extra ambiance and some super dramatic lighting. And of course, we have to have Clementine as a part of that shoot. But really went the whole 9 yards, was so excited about that, and here we are, finally getting the movie. The real story of my love of music from James Bond actually comes from a single Spotify playlist that I used to listen to nearly every day, starting back in 2016. I'd put the playlist on and I became super familiar with the first 10 or 20 tracks on it, and I'd listen to it while I did, office work at my desk or other stuff where I could put background music on. It's not a real big playlist. It's not a Spotify curated playlist. It was something I found that I think is someone's just favorite music from the movies. And it also became some of my favorite music from the movies. If you have a chance to check out the playlist, please check it out. But track 4 on that playlist was City of Lovers from Casino Royale, which was Daniel Craig's first Bond movie. I know that track like the back of my hand because I've heard it so many times. And ironically, I haven't done an arrangement of it. And ironically, I actually haven't arranged anything that's on that playlist, even though I love the music so much and I've arranged so many things from film. I haven't arranged anything on that playlist. It's kind of crazy, but it's been super inspirational to me. So maybe someday I will, but until that day comes, let's jump into the latest arrangement. From the get-go, this was intended to be epic and technical and virtuosic and super Lisztian, like a Liszt piano transcription. And it also contains a lot of original writing of my own that's inspired by things in James Bond, but it's still original to me and not in the theme. So instead of just calling this another version of the James Bond theme for piano, I decided to call it Rhapsody on Bond, James Bond. And I thought the word Rhapsody in particular would help convey that I'm trying to take you on a journey somewhere, and I'm trying to go more places, and I'm showing you more musical ideas than exist just in the original theme, just in that original version. My version's mostly through composed, so we start at the beginning and we continue on and on and on, and we don't really repeat anything, but it's bookended by 2 cadenza-like figures that I've written. And while that's original stuff that I've written, it's super inspired by 2 of the most important musical ideas in the music of James Bond. The first of those is movement, stepwise movement, starting on the 5th of the scale, going up and up again, and then back down. You play those 4 notes for just about anybody on the planet, and they're gonna know that this has something to do with James Bond, right? If I harmonize that in kind of the way that Hans Zimmer has for this latest movie, that's nice. So the cadenza is based on those 4 notes, but it's also based on a minor major 7 with a 9. Affectionately, that chord is known in music circles as the James Bond chord. So the cadenza I wrote on both sides, the front and the back of the piece, while it's original stuff, like I said, it's heavily based on those 2 ideas from the original score. The rest of the piece is big and bold and boisterous And it cycles through 3 melodic themes that are presented in the original score, which, if you didn't know, is written by Monty Norman. There's a bit in the middle of the piece where I again took some musical liberties. I needed something that was going to help bridge a gap between 2 different sections of music, 2 different themes, I guess. And so I decided, in a typical jazz combo, this might be a place where a pianist would go off and take a solo on their own. And in this case, I've written something like that, except it's not jazz at all. It's still in the style of Liszt. It's only 8 bars long, and it's like 12 seconds, I think. So it's a very short solo, if you call it that. But it does help bridge that gap between 2 ideas, and without a doubt, it's either close to or the most difficult bit of music for the piano that I've ever written. If you've listened to the vlog before, you know that I take pride in not writing things that are overly complicated, just complicated enough, and making them simple when they need to become more simple, and keeping that ebb and flow of emotion and musicality. And this piece from the get-go was so different from that. The whole point of this piece was to try to become Franz Liszt for 3 or 4 minutes and write the most epic, crazy, technical, virtuosic arrangement of the theme from James Bond as I could possibly write without obscuring the melody too much. It's kind of like what Liszt did when he wrote transcriptions for the piano. So to name a couple of my favorites, when Liszt took the Paganini etudes were originally for solo violin. They were crazy difficult. They are crazy difficult for a solo violin. But think about it. There's 1 line being played at a time on that instrument. Liszt took those and made these insane transcriptions, or what we'd call an arrangement today, out of basically 1 line of music. Another really famous example of that would be Widmung, a piece by Robert Schumann that was originally for voice and piano. And Liszt took that and transcribed it into a pretty insane piano solo version. So those are just a couple of my favorites, and those kinds of transcriptions really inspired what I did with this one. When I decided to write this one, I wasn't exactly sure where any of this was going to go, especially because of that original orchestration with like a jazz combo, your drums, bass, guitar. You've got a little bit of strings in there and some brass and horns, and it was a real mixture of styles. And looking back, I must say, I am pretty pleased with how everything turned out, I think. I'm really happy that I was able to do something so classical with a piece that's so often arranged in a very more traditional jazz style. So I hope you like that too. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you haven't already, please give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of content and you like my arrangements. And get active in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Do you have a favorite Bond arrangement? Do you have a favorite Bond theme song? Do you have a favorite Bond villain? That'll be the one, right? Looking forward to hearing from you. And until next time, have a martini for me. 3 measures of Gordon's, 1 of vodka, half a measure of quinoa lillet. Shake it over ice, and then add a thin slice of lemon peel.